Louis John Rhead was an English-born American artist, illustrator, author and angler who was born in Etruria, Staffordshire, England. He emigrated to the United States at the age of 24. Early life. The Rhead family had operated and worked in the Staffordshire potteries for at least 3 generations. Louis's father, George W. Rhead, worked in the pottery industry and was a highly respected gilder and ceramic artist. In the 1870s, George Rhead taught art and design in Staffordshire schools. He founded Fenton School of Art. Louis and all his siblings attended their father's art classes and worked in the potteries as children. His brothers Frederick Alfred Rhead and George Woolliscroft Rhead Jr. were also artistic, and Louis, later in his career, sometimes collaborated with them, for example in book illustration projects. Louis was also the uncle of the potters Charlotte Rhead and Frederick Hurton Rhead. Because Louis demonstrated exceptional talent when he was 13 in 1872, his father sent him to study in Paris, France with artist Gustave Boulanger. After 3 years in Paris, Louis Rhead returned to work in the potteries as a ceramic artist at Minton and later at Wedgwood. In 1879 he gained a scholarship at the National Art Training School, South Kensington, London. After graduating from South Kensington in 1881, Louis Rhead worked briefly for Wedgwood and worked for the London publisher Castle, U.S. Career. In 1883, at the age of 24, Louis Rhead was offered a position as art director for the U.S. publishing firm of D. Appleton in New York City. He accepted and emigrated to the U.S. in the fall of 1883. In 1884 he married Catherine Bogart Yates, thus becoming an American citizen. Louis and Catherine lived in Flatbush, Brooklyn overlooking Prospect Park for 40 years. In the early 1890s, Rhead became a prominent poster artist and was heavily influenced by the work of Swiss artist Eugene Grasset. During the poster craze of the early 1890s, Rhead's poster art appeared regularly in Harper's Bazaar, Harper's Magazine, Street, Nicholas Century Magazine, Ladies' Home Journal and Scribner's Magazine. In 1895 he won a gold medal for Best American Poster Design at the first International Poster Show in Boston. By the late 1890s, the popularity of poster art declined, and Rhead turned his skills to book illustration. Between 1902 and his death in 1926, Rhead illustrated numerous children's books published by Harper's and others. Most notable among these were editions of Robin Hood, The Swiss Family Robinson, Robinson Crusoe, The Deerslayer, Treasure Island, Kidnapped and Heidi. Angling. Rhead was an avid fly fisher and by his own account started fishing for trout in the U.S. sometime between 1888 and 1890. In 1901 he became interested in angling art and much of his later published works deal with fishing and fly fishing. Rhead was also a tackle dealer and sold his own line of artificial flies. His most famous and celebrated work is American Trout Stream Insects. At the time of its publication, this was one of the first and most comprehensive studies of stream entomology ever published in America. Paul Schullery in American Fly Fishing, A History says this about Rhead. Louis Rhead was one of the most creative, fresh-thinking, and stimulating of American fly fishing writers, a man of extraordinary gifts. His major effort was American Trout Stream Insects, a book based on several years of trout fishing in the Catskills. Death. Louis Rhead's death was somewhat unusual. He died from a heart attack at his retirement home in Amityville, Long Island. A portion of his obituary in the New York Times, Friday, July 30, 1926. Louis Rhead, artist and angler, dead. Exhausted recently by a long struggle in capturing a 30-pound turtle. About 2 weeks ago Mr. Rhead set out to catch a turtle weighing 30 pounds which had been devastating trout ponds on his place, Sevenoaks. After the turtle was hooked, it put up a fight for more than half an hour. Although Mr. Rhead was successful in the end, he became exhausted. A short time later he suffered from his first attack of heart disease. Yesterday's was his second exhibition. Bernard Bumpus was the leading authority on the Rhead family. In the 1980s, Bumpus curated an exhibition, Rhead Artists and Potters, at the Geoffrey Museum in London, which mainly featured works of art by the Rhead family, but also included examples of Louis Rhead's flies. It toured several UK museums, including the Potteries Museum and Amp Art Gallery in Staffordshire. Bumpus hoped to take a version of the exhibition to the USA, but, despite American interest in the Rhead family, this project found it. Bibliography. Hillis, Neville White ed. The Psalms of David. Illustrated and decorated by Louis Rhead. Chicago, Fleming H. Revell Company. Bunyan, John. The Life and Death of Mr. Badman. Illustrated by George W. and Louis Rhead. London, W. Heinemann. Defoe, Daniel. The Life and Strange Adventures of Robinson Crusoe. Illustrated by Frederick and Louis Rhead. New York, R. H. Russell, Reed Lewis ed. The Speckled Brook Trout. Introduction by Charles Halleck. Illustrated by Louis Rhead. New York, R. H. Russell, Morris, William. The History of Oversea. Illustrated by George W. and Louis Rhead. New York, R. H. Russell, Harris, William C. Bean, Tarrelt and H. Reed Lewis ed. The Bases Freshwater and Marine. New York, Frederick A. Stokes Company Publishers. Reed Lewis. A collection of book plate designs. Boston, W. Porter Truesdell. Hughes, Thomas. Tom Brown's School Days. Illustrated by Louis Rhead. New York, Harper & Brothers. Reed Lewis. Bold Robin Hood and His Outlaw Band. New York, Harper & Amp Brothers. Bunyan, John. Have Ice, H.R. Rhead. Pilgrim's Progress from This World to That Which Is to Come. Embellished with over 120 designs done by three brothers, George Woolliscroft Rhead, Frederick Rhead, Louis Rhead. New York, The Century Co. Crandall, Latham A. Days in the Open. Decorations by Louis Rhead. New York, Fleming H. Revell Company. Stevenson, Robert Louis. Treasure Island. Decorated and illustrated by Louis Rhead. New York, Harper Brothers. The Arabian Nights Entertainments. Illustrated and decorated by Louis Rhead. New York, Harper & Brothers, 1916. Reed Lewis. American Trout Stream Insects, A Guide to Angling Flies and Other Aquatic Insects Alluring to Trout. New York, Frederick A. Stokes Company Publishers. Reed Lewis. The Book of Fish and Fishing. New York, Charles Scribner's Sons. Reed Lewis. Fisherman's Lures and Game Fish Food. New York, Charles Scribner's Sons. Reed Lewis. How to Fish the Dry Fly. Brooklyn, New York, Louis Rhead. Stevenson, Robert Louis. Kidnapped, being the memoirs of the adventures of David Balfour in the year 1751. Illustrated by Louis Rhead. New York, Harper & Brothers. In the early 20th century, Rhead was a prolific contributor of angling articles in the sporting press, the American Angler, Outing Magazine, Field and Amp, Stream and Forest and Stream. Reed Lewis. Vacation Angling for the Family. Outing Magazine. L. Reed Lewis. Where to Find Trout and How to Catch Them. Outing Magazine. LII. Reed Lewis. Winter Deep Sea Fishing. Outing Magazine. LII. Reed Lewis. Fall Fishing in the Atlantic Surf. Outing Magazine. LV. Reed Lewis. Complete Angler in August. Outing Magazine. Live. Reed Lewis. How to Use a Dry Fly. Outing Magazine. LII. Reed Lewis. Why Sea Fishing is Popular. Outing Magazine. Live. Reed Lewis. The Angler's Halcyon Days. Outing Magazine. Live. Reed Lewis. Winter Care of Fishing Tackle. Outing Magazine. LV. Reed Lewis. September Sport with Rod and Reel. Outing Magazine. Live. Reed Lewis. Return of Weak Fish, Tautog, Fluke and Other Migratory Fishes. Outing Magazine. Live. Reed Lewis. Winter Deep Sea Fishing. Outing Magazine. LV. Reed Lewis. Tarp and Tackle. Field and Stream. 14. Reed Lewis. The Invincible Maskalong. Field and Stream. 14. Reed Lewis. Casting for Muskalunge. Outing Magazine. LVI. Reed Lewis. New lures that are true to life. Forest and Stream. 85. Reed Lewis. Some nature lures for summer and fall fishing. Forest and Stream. 85. Reed Lewis. Why nature lures are best for good sport. Forest and Stream. 85. Reed Lewis. 3 best nature lures for bass. Forest and Stream. 85. Reed Lewis. Supplementary notes concerning nature lures. Forest and Stream. 85. Reed Lewis. Trout flies natural and artificial. Forest and Stream. 85. Reed Lewis. Silver shiner and golden chub. Forest and Stream. 86. Reed Lewis. Dry, wet and nature fly which shall we offer? Forest and Stream. 86. Reed Lewis. Halcyon Angling Days in May. Forest and Stream. 86. Reed Lewis. Evolution of Bait Angling. Forest and Stream. 86. Reed Lewis. The Leap of the Game Fish. Forest and Stream. 86. Reed Lewis. Surface bait for game fish. Forest and Stream. 86. Reed Lewis. American and British angling compared. Forest and Stream. 86. Reed Lewis. Our Rainbows. Forest and Stream. 87. Reed Lewis. The Finer Art of Trout Fishing. Forest and Stream. 87. Reed Lewis. The Finer Art of Trout Fishing. Forest and Stream. 87. Reed Lewis. How to Tie Leaders and Flies. Forest and Stream. 87. Reed Lewis. Bait Fishing for Trout. Forest and Stream. 87. Reed Lewis. Fishing for the Kingly Wananish. Forest and Stream. 87. Reed Lewis. Bass as Gamey Fighters. Forest and Stream. 87. Reed Lewis. Minnows as bait for bass and trout. Forest and Stream. 87. Reed Lewis. In the Haunts of Isaac Walton. Forest and Stream. 87. Reed Lewis. My Foul-Hooked Muskie Experience. Forest and Stream. 87. Reed Lewis. A bass bait for late-season fishing. Forest and Stream. 87. Reed Lewis. Trout insects for early fly fishing. Forest and Stream. 88. Reed Lewis. Improving the angler's equipment. Forest and Stream. 88. Reed Lewis. Hot weather fly fishing. The American Angler. Vi. 143. Reed Lewis. Downstream dry fly fishing. Forest and Stream. 92. Reed Lewis. Fishing from bottom to surface. Forest and Stream. 92. Reed Lewis. Tying the freshwater shrimp. Forest and Stream. 92. Reed Lewis. Artificial baits for trout. Forest and Stream. 92. Reed Lewis. The carp as a gamey food fish. Forest and Stream. 92. Reed Lewis. The metal-bodied fly minnow. Forest and Stream. 92. Reed Lewis. The Evolution of the Trout Fly. Forest and Stream. 92. Reed Lewis. How to Skin and Mount a Fish. Forest and Stream. 92. Reed, Lewis. The Troubles of Spring Trout Fishing. Forest and Stream. 94. Reed, Lewis. Fishing in Brooks. Forest and Stream. 94. Reed, Lewis. Fishing the Evening Brise. Forest and Stream. 94. Reed, Lewis. Fly Fishing for the Gamey Little Trout Pickerel. Forest and Stream. 94. Reed, Lewis. Trout Fishing in Lakes. Forest and Stream. 94. Reed, Lewis. Live and Amp Artificial Frogs as Bait. Forest and Stream. 94. Reed, Lewis. A Unique Way to Land the Great Northern Pike. Forest and Stream. 94. Reed, Lewis. The Bird Angler. Forest and Stream. 95. Reed, Lewis. Playing and Netting Big Trout on the Fly. Forest and Stream. 95. Reed, Lewis. The Habits of Trout and Where they Abide. Forest and Stream. 95. Reed, Lewis. Why They Don't Bite. Forest and Stream. 95. Reed, Lewis. Denizens of the Deep. Forest and Stream. 95.